Week 15 of the CFL's regular season is in the books, and with just 1 week remaining, the 6 teams who will be in the playoffs are set. Now, what isn't set is where the Eastern semifinals will take place. Jace Mackey is joining us now. Now, Jace, just take us through, this final week. I guess just what could happen in this final week of the CFL's regular season.
Yeah, a lot of things are set in stone. The only thing really when it comes to these playoffs is where that East semifinal is going to take place. So is it going to be in Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field or in Montreal at Purvis-Sol Molson Stadium? The road to hosting that game is a lot easier for Hamilton. They either need to win or to have Montreal lose, and they host that semifinal. For Montreal, they would need to win and have Hamilton lose in the final week of the season for them to host that playoff game in Montreal. So it's all down to the wire here, and I think that's the biggest storyline heading into the final week of the season.
So, Jace, we do know it is those 2 teams who will be playing in the Eastern semifinals. Now, you've seen each of these teams play live, at different points throughout the season. They might not be the exact same teams as what you saw, but who do you like in this matchup?
Yeah, that's true. When I watched Montreal, they came to Commonwealth Stadium at the beginning of the year. So that team is a lot different. They had Vernon Adams Jr. in quarterback. Now Montreal has Trevor Harris as their starting quarterback. And I think last time we talked CFL, I was saying that Montreal was my team to watch in the East, a team I liked a lot. And things have changed since then when it comes to their quarterback situation. And Vernon Adams Jr. is a quarterback that likes to move around a lot. Trevor Harris is more of a pocket passer. But we saw at their last game that they had last week that they did really well, and Trevor Harris did a good job of running that offense. That was, however, against a Winnipeg team that was benched most of their starters. So it's tough to see exactly how that team is going to stack up against a team that's really playing for everything. When it comes to Hamilton, they've really kind of set Jeremiah Mazzoli as their starting quarterback. He is the guy who's going to take them into the playoffs. And when he played in Edmonton, he had probably one of the best games of his career this season, at least. But the last game that they played last week against Toronto, that was really a game for who was going to win the East. It was probably as close as you get to a playoff feel in the regular season. And Mazzoli did not really have the game that he would have liked. He threw no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So when I look at those 2 matchups, I think it's going to be even, but I do like the Montreal Alouettes over the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But the one thing I will say about the Tiger Cats is Hamilton's hosting the Grey Cup this year, so there is going to be that extra motivation to win those games because they want to be playing in front of their hometown fans at Tim Hortons Field.
Okay, Jay, so we now know about the East. Let's move over to the West, where things are now set in stone. After back-to-back close victories over the Edmonton Elks, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have secured home field advantage for the West semifinals, where they will take on the Calgary Stampeders, who are making the postseason for their 16th time in a row. Who do you like in this game?
This game is going to be really fun and really interesting, and I think these teams are paired up really well with each other. Now, you mentioned that Saskatchewan has won a lot of close games down the stretch. I know that Duke Williams has had himself some clutch catches on short kicks, being able to keep possession of that ball and help Saskatchewan hold on to win some games down the stretch. And their last game against Edmonton was a real standout game for Duke Williams. He had a lot of yards, over 100 yards in that game, and really that was his welcome to Saskatchewan moment this year. I think Saskatchewan playing at home at Mosaic Stadium is going to make a difference. It's really hard to play in that stadium with those fans, and it's going to be a sellout for that playoff game, the West semifinal. Looking at Calgary, though, they're a team that started off the season not looking like themselves. They're making their 16th consecutive playoff appearance, but I think a lot of people weren't sure if they were going to make the playoffs starting the season, but they are really starting to gel, and Bo Levi Mitchell's is starting to return to form. He had over 200 yards in his last game, 3 touchdowns, and Reggie Begelton for the Calgary Stampeders was making his debut this season, and he had over 100 yards receiving in that game. So it's going to be interesting to see the battle of those 2 kind of newcomer receivers late in the year, Reggie Begelton and Duke Williams, and maybe to see who has themselves a game in this West semifinal. I am going to be going with Saskatchewan. I think Saskatchewan is a hard team to play in. And down the stretch, I know we are looking at the season series. Calgary did win that season series. However, I think the teams, like we mentioned in the East, do look different than they did earlier in this season.
Well, Jace, thank you very much for joining me and doing this. 5 games this week wrap up the regular season ahead of the semifinals Sunday, November 28th.